So this is going to be showing the basic use of the arch in what we call static mode. So this is just providing a static support to the patient, unloading. It's not dynamic in nature, so it's just going to spot protect them from falling during any task, whether that's over a treadmill, whether it's during balance activities. So what you want to do is, if you have your patient here, if they're able to stand, and you can apply the harness in standing, and then place the carabiners onto the harness here, that's great, that's the easiest. We'll also show you sitting. But if you're going to lower, I'm going to lower this spreader bar down so I can connect the harness here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to always hold the end of the rope anytime you release the Kong rope clamp. So always hold the end of the rope. I'm going to pull, and I'm going to feed rope in to lower it slowly. If I let go, it's not going to fall really quickly, but it'll fall a little bit. And then I'm just going to lower that to her shoulders, and then just let go of the orange tab here and allow that spring mechanism to catch the rope again. And then now I can place my carabiners into the harness. And then at this point, if I want to take up any more slack, I just simply pull straight down through the device and it will automatically lock. So in order to tighten, I just simply pull straight down and it'll lock. In order to loosen, I'm going to need to go ahead and hold the end of the rope. I like to pull a little tension in the rope and then release, hold it open as I release the rope. When starting a patient in the rehab arch from a sitting position, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to first lower the spreader bar until it's just about head high. Typically they're going to be positioned just slightly behind the uprights, so as they stand up they'll be in line with the uprights. So now I can bring my quick links and I can hook to the harness on each side here. Can always give myself a little extra room and rope if I needed. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have the patient stand up. We can provide some assistance with that standing process by using the rope here. But what you're going to do is just simply grab the end of the rope here, and you're going to pull through that end of the rope and take up slack as they're standing. And you're going to need to do it as quickly as they're standing up, or else the spreader bar can contact with the head. So you ready? On the count of 3, you're going to go and stand up. 1, 2, 3, stand up. And now once we just let go of the rope, it's always going to be locked in place once you let go, okay? So now we're locked in place for any static activities, static support, but now we're going to go ahead and sit back down. So I'm going to tell you when you can sit down, so don't sit down too early, but I'm going to go ahead and again, always hold the end of the rope when you're going to get ready to release the Kong device here. So I'm going to hold the end of the rope, I'm going to pull on the rope just a little bit, and now release it, pull up, and now you can go ahead and sit. I'm going to keep the Kong device open. I'm going to feed the rope down until she sits and then let it lock in place again at that point. Okay, I'll give you a little more slack here. There we go. Now we want to cover the use of the dynamic assistance bungees that can be used for providing more dynamic support and adjustment. So what you'll find is you'll have a set of 3 bungees here that are attached to this carabiner, and we can use either 1, 2, or 3, or any combination of these bungees to provide different levels of support. There's a 10, a 20, and a 30-pound bungee, and whatever level of support you provide or clip into this, it's going to be doubled because it's a 2-to-1 pulley system here. So in this case, I have my bottom carabiner hooked up to the 20-pound bungee. So that would be 40 pounds of dynamic assistance that this would provide. If I want to add another 10 pounds, I can add the purple bungee. So I'm just going to do that. And I'm going to clip it into the bottom carabiner. So now I've got these 2 bungees attached together. And then so what I'm going to do is, before you attach the patient into the system, you're going to want to convert this over to the dynamic mode. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to take your post anchor here that's holding your Kong rope adjuster in place, and you're going to push your lever and open that, and then you're going to go ahead and slide that off, and you're going to take your top carabiner and clip it into your Kong. There's a hole right there. Just going to slide that through, and then you're going to go ahead and take your lower carabiner and clip it into the eye bolt on the foot right there of the system. And then you also want to decide how much distance do you want to allow that bungee to travel before it stops. And so just depending on the patient or the activity, if you're doing squats, you may want to allow a little more ability to go through more range of motion before that stops. But I'm just going to go ahead and set this kind of about halfway down this. So I'm going to take one of the loops here on this daisy chain safety tether, and I'm just going to clip that into my carabiner here at the bottom and just loop that over and clip that in. Okay, so that's going to provide a tether that stops that from going any further. Okay. Now I'm going to have to lower my spreader bar down so I can attach it to the patient, whether in standing or in sitting. So in order to do that, I'm just going to take my orange tab here on the Kong rope adjuster and just pull on that to open up the spring so I can give myself a little rope and feed it down so I can lower my spreader bar just above their head there. And then now I can go ahead and attach the spreader bar to the harness. Most of the time when you're using dynamic mode, you're going to be using with higher functioning patients who can most commonly stand. You can do this in sitting, but most of the time they're going to be standing. So once I've got the harness hooked, I need to apply some tension to the system. Right now there's slack in the system, so we need to apply a little pre-tension to provide that dynamic support. So the way you do that is just take the end of your rope here and just simply start lifting up, and it'll kind of pass through the Kong device, and I'm providing some pre-stretch, and then I can just let that go. So now I've got these bungees stretched partially, so they're providing, this is the 10 and the 20, so that's 30 pounds, so total plus 2 to 1, so 60 pounds of assistance here. And so now if I have my patient go ahead and do just a couple squats, you can see we have some stretching of the bungees, but then we also have the limiter engaging at the bottom of that, and that provides your kind of fail-safe mechanism when you're in the dynamic mode. When there's tension in the dynamic bungees, if you're going to release that tension, what you always want to do is just go ahead and grab the free end of your rope, and you want to lift up and then take your orange tab here and hold up on the spring, and then just feed the rope into that as you release the tension so that you can unclip that easily from your eye bolt.